Saint Levant was doing a world tour, including in the UK and Europe. He sings in English, French, and Arabic, mainly about Palestine. Look at him. Look at Marwan singing for all of us everywhere. Lina Makoul also sings songs about Palestine and capitalism. She's a very rebellious singer, very, very brave. And she was also at the concert with Saint Levant, Marwan. They both sang in Dublin, Ireland, at the Academy. You won't believe this concert ticket was only €37 and £35 for my flight ticket, return included. Absolutely a good deal. I have never been to Dublin, so I thought to myself, why not enjoy a good concert, explore Dublin, and make a Should You Live in Dublin video for those who are interested in living here. I was in Dublin for only 2 days. I was able to go to Cliff Walk by bus. I walked, enjoyed the scenery, saw the lighthouse from afar, met 2 Italian girls, took videos and pictures, and took some fresh air. I also enjoyed this beautiful view on my way back to the city center. In terms of people living in Dublin and gaining some insights of living in this city in Ireland, Serena volunteered to share with all of us her personal experience. How long have you been living in Dublin for?
For 2 years now.
Oh, okay, cool. And you enjoying it? Are you happy there?
Yeah, I'm really happy here. Yeah, I can have a better life here than in Italy for sure.
And how come?
For so many different reasons. First of all, because here is very safe. In particular, I'm living in Dublin. So Dublin is a European capital. So actually, I'm Italian, but I live all of my life in Milan. So Milan is a big city and is not a safe city at all nowadays, in particular if you're a woman. But here in Dublin, I would say that's really, really safe to be a European capital. And second, because you can have better opportunities here. It's so easy to change your job or even to change the field in your job if you want. It's just accept to you. And the price of living, the cost of living is expensive, but it's also expensive like other European capitals. But in the meantime, the salary is really good. So I think even if you're a young person, it's definitely a good country because you have so many opportunities here. And the people, the Irish in particular, are really open-minded. And if you live, for example, in a place like Dublin, is a very, very multicultural city. In fact, more than the 60% of the people living in the capital are foreigners, actually. So there are more foreigners than Irish here. So it's a very good place to live if you're young.
If you don't mind me asking, like how much a person needs to earn per month to live a comfortable life in Dublin?
So that actually is a good question because it really depends on you. I mean, if you don't have a family, you need to think, for example, if you're going to move here, then the houses are really big. So normally you have like 2 floors or even sometimes 3, 1 or 2 toilets. So, and that's why like most of the people, they need to live with housemates just because you can't afford to live in a house by yourself at all. So from that point of view, and thinking about that nowadays a room could be 800, 1,000 euro per month, I think 2,300 euro, 2,500 euro is a good balance, but it depends on you, you know. But if you are young, I think it's good enough.
And you mentioned about rent. So renting is between 800 and 1,000 euro per month, excluding bills?
No, including bills for a room.
Ah, that's good.
Of course, it depends where you're living. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, if you're gonna, I'm speaking about Dublin at the moment. So Dublin is a bit different than other cities, even because in Ireland they don't have big cities at all. So it's completely different than the UK from this point of view. So if you're going to speak about Ireland, there is Dublin and just a couple of other cities like Limerick or Cork.
Yeah.
But, for example, if you're going to live in another city, it's so easy to find a room for 500, 700 euro, for example. In Dublin nowadays, it's expensive because it's going to be 800, 1,000 euro. It depends from the place you're living.
And it's the capital city.
Exactly, and even it's a capital city. But here you have so many possibilities and you have so many jobs, and you can't have the same in other cities from my point of view.
Yeah, and what jobs are available?
So in particular here, there are all the big tech company. So it's really, there are a lot of opportunities in tech here. But nowadays, there are also a lot of different business company, like insurance company or like customer service nowadays. Hospitality is also a big thing, hospitality, or to work with the tourists in general, because here there are so many tourists, in particular the Americans. So there are a lot of different sectors here where you can work.
And like, what are the pros and cons of living in Dublin?
So I will start with the cons. So the cons for sure is the weather, because the weather is not for everybody. Like, it's very, very cold here. It's raining the most of the days, and even when it's not raining, it's very cold. And for example, here the mold is a big problem, just because the humidity can go up to the 80% or even more some days. So it's not like, the cold is a really big problem here. So if you don't enjoy the cold weather or even the rain, don't move to Ireland at all. So that's going to be a big problem. Or another cons are the transport, actually, because the transport are not good at all comparing to the other European capitals. In fact, Dublin doesn't have an underground, so you can just move around with buses or with luas. So the luas is a type of tram, and is the best transport we have here, because even it's kind of new. But the transport are a really big problem, and even if you're going to have a car, you're going to be stuck in the traffic, because the connections are not good at all. So that's why, for example, it's really important to move or choose your house when you're gonna know where it is your working place, because otherwise it's a really big problem. So there are the cons about Dublin. Or another cons can be, if you want to live by yourself, it's very difficult here. Like, it's not possible in the city, just because the houses are really big and you can't afford a huge house by yourself. I would say that there are the cons. The pro are that you can change your job, and there are so many possibilities. And in the most of the jobs, they don't really care about, for example, your curriculum, but they really care about your skills as a person. They're going to see if you're able to do that job and if you really want to do it, actually. So there are so many possibilities to grow. It's a very, very multicultural place. So the foreigners, like the Irish in general, they are really welcome. They are really open-minded. It's so easy to meet people from all over the world here. So because very multicultural, as I said. And there are pretty much the pro. Another cons that I can think about that is actually to find an accommodation, because it's very difficult to find an accommodation. It's easy to find a job, but I would say it's hard to find an accommodation, in particular in some period, like during, for example, the middle year, or even in September, just because all the people are moving here to study or even to work.
Mm-hmm. And pros?
So the pro, for example, is that it's a really multicultural city. The pro is that it's really easy to find a job or even to swap from one job to another. Nobody cares about the fact that you are maybe old, you are a woman or whatever. It's really open-minded. Even here, another pro is about the LGBTQ plus community. Because, for example, Ireland was the first country in the world to accept the the marriage from the same gender. So it's really open-minded from that point of view. And even in the city center, there are different streets and areas for the LGBTQ plus community. So even that is a big pro, I would say. And another pro is that's really, really safe comparing to the other European capitals.
Cool, yeah. And have you ever studied in Dublin, or you just went there for work purposes?
No, I came here to study English because I didn't speak English at all. And for example, here, there are so many English schools when you can just, like college or even English schools, part-time or full-time.
What is it that you're doing, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what industry are you working in?
So at the moment, I'm working in insurance company, and it's good because it's very, very flexible and the benefits are great.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Awesome. And you're happy with it?
I'm happy because it's really, really easy to travel with my job because I can work from abroad and I can also work from my country when I want, and I can work from home all the time that I want, and even there are other benefits that are really, really great, in particular if you're a young person.
Awesome. And like, are you currently living with your roommates, I'm guessing? Yes.
Yeah, at the moment I'm living with 2 other girls here.
Okay, so 3 in total. And do you know your living cost situation per month? Like, how much do you spend on rent, food, transportation, everything?
Yeah, actually, yes. Like, I'm paying $9.50 for my room. About the transport, for example, my company is paying half of the transport. In general, the transport are pretty expensive, I would say. If you are young, they are not, because if you are young until 25 years, if I don't remember bad, you can just pay €1 to go everywhere. So it's €1 every time you can just top up your card. Otherwise, it's €2. But if you're gonna pay, for example, per month, it's not something really possible to do it, because I think nowadays the subscription, like the monthly for every month, is gonna be like €200 every month. Like it's crazy. That's why the transport, for the type of service we have in Dublin and for how much expensive it is not good at all.
Worth it.
They need to, yeah, exactly. They really need to improve their transport.
Okay. Yeah, I like your honesty. Is it more than 2,000? Less than €2,000 per month?
For me, it's not. For me, I think it should be around 1,800, I think, considering that I'm going to the gym. So even the gym, for example, that's going to be a pro, because everybody's going to the gym here, like everybody, because wherever you're living, you're always going to find a gym next to your house. And more or less the subscription is €35-€38 per month, and you can go to all the gyms in Dublin.
And how are Irish people?
The Irish people are really welcoming. They are really open-minded in general. The only thing I can say about Irish people is the fact that, for example, sometimes after a while it is difficult to hang out with them, just because they are really welcoming and they are really open-minded. But in the meantime, it's difficult to find a connection with them. Just for one reason, just because they grow up all together in general, and they always do the same things together, like going out for a pint after their job, and like they meet each other since they were kids. So sometimes it's a bit difficult just to get inside the group after a while.
Because the groups have already formed from childhood.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
Yes,
because
yeah.
Even because the most of the Irish, so for example, that's another good information actually. The most of the young Irish people, they need to move to Dublin or even Galway or Limerick to study or to work, just because except a couple of cities, there are not so many opportunities, for example, if you live in the countryside. So that's why, for example, they really know each other since a really long time in general.
It's kind of a similar situation as in the UK. It's difficult to connect with local people because they already know each other since they were children. And something I noticed is that the environment is not that different from the UK. Even houses, 2 floors, multiple bathrooms, doors are basically the exact same thing. Like the aesthetic part of the houses are very similar to the UK.
That's true, but that's true even for an historical reason, because for 800 years they couldn't be independent. So for 800 years here it was UK, and it's kind of a new country because it's 100 and something years that they are independent, and it's Republic of Ireland. That's why, for example, the houses are pretty similar, as you said. They're driving in the opposite side, or even the plugs are UK plugs.
Yes.
So, and the buses have 2 floors, for example.
And have you been to Belfast before?
Yeah, I've been to Belfast twice, and I really love Belfast.
Okay, that's interesting, because when I went to the concert, I spoke to a girl who told me that there is a huge difference between Dublin and Belfast. Belfast is dull, a little bit dead. Dublin is more alive, welcoming. Is it true?
There is a huge difference between Dublin and Belfast. First of all, because Belfast is in the Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland is not Ireland. So, and for example, Belfast is very UK and British stamp, actually. So, for example, even about the architecture. So if you're going to go to Belfast, you're going to see really high buildings and even like skyscrapers a bit. For example, in Dublin, we don't have that, because there is a rule in Dublin that they can't build buildings more than 5 floors, if I don't remember bad, to like preserve the territories.
Are you happy in Dublin?
I'm happy in Dublin, yeah. The only thing I would like to have more is the sun, because I really need the sun and the hot weather.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And are you like looking forward to stay in Dublin for longer, or are you planning to move to a next place?
Actually, that's a good question, because in the future I would like to go to Australia and maybe to do a little bit of backpacking in Asia. At the moment, I'm pretty happy here for another year or maybe a couple of years. I see. Just because I love living here. The only problem for me, like that's the main problem, is the weather. About February, January, and March, it can be really hard, even because it's very dark and cold.
You know, when you mentioned that you're looking forward to backpacking in Asia, I am planning a solo trip in Asia. If you want to join, you're more than welcome.
When are you gonna go there?
I don't know, I'm thinking either Indonesia or South Korea, Malaysia, I don't know, anywhere. Russia.
That's gonna be great.
The weather is not a big issue for me. It's all about adaptability. It's just that I haven't traveled in Asia enough, and I'm very curious to know what it's like. Even like learning about the living situation. Thank you so much, Serena.
No problem.
So, my observation and what I've learned from this trip and from talking with different people is that Dublin is expensive. If you want to live a comfortable life, you would need to earn €1,800 or €2,000 per month. However, there is something for everyone. If you want to live close to nature, you can. If you're looking for the urban life, you can. And if you want to spend less per month, you just have to go outside the capital city. So my question is, should you live in Dublin? Can you afford it? Is it for you? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next one. Bye.